They say no one who saw the queen's eyes ever lived to tell the tale. But I did. And now, I can't close my eyes without seeing her. When I was a child, my village had stories about the old queen, the one they called Anozie. She had ruled long ago, long before I was born, but her name still sent shivers down our spines. She wasn't like other queens. No, she was different. People said she used dark powers to stay young, to stay strong, and to control everything around her. My grandmother told me that the queen never smiled, and her eyes were the worst. They were cold and empty, like they had no soul. She ruled with fear. No one dared to speak against her because if you did, you would vanish. Some said she would call you to her palace at night, and no one ever saw you again. I didn't believe these stories. Not until the night I saw her. It happened during a festival, a night when the whole village gathered to celebrate the harvest. We danced, we sang, and the fires burned bright. But then, everything changed. The wind turned cold, and the air felt thick, like something was watching us. I noticed people stopping in their tracks, looking toward the hills where the old palace stood. The place had been abandoned for years, but that night, there was a light, dim and flickering. Curiosity got the better of me, so I followed the path to the palace. I know, it was foolish, but something drew me there. As I got closer, the stories came rushing back to me. But I wasn't scared. Not yet. The palace was falling apart, vines crawling up the walls, and the air smelled of decay. I should have turned back, but I didn't. I stepped inside, and that's when I saw her. She was standing in the middle of the room, her back turned to me. Her long, dark hair fell down her back, and her robes dragged across the floor as she moved. She didn't speak, didn't make a sound. But I could feel her presence like a weight pressing down on me. Then she turned around. Her face was pale, too pale, like she hadn't seen the sun in centuries. And her eyes were black, like endless pits of darkness. They locked onto mine, and I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. It was like she was pulling me in, taking something from me. My heart pounded in my chest, but I couldn't run. Suddenly, she smiled, a twisted, cruel smile, and whispered something I couldn't understand. Then, everything went black. When I woke up, I was back at the edge of the village. The sun was rising, and people were going about their day like nothing had happened. But I knew what I had seen. The queen was still there, still watching, still waiting. And I had seen her eyes. Now, every night, I dream of her. I see her standing there, in that palace, her eyes piercing through the darkness. I don't know how much longer I can take it. I think she's coming for me. And when she does, no one will hear from me again. Just like all the others.